legislature aren't going to be real easy to move on that, but it's discretion. Now, and what I did last year, saying, no, they were going to move the board and replace the board with new people because there was so much dissension going on last December that I just decided we needed to start fresh at the board. Like Kathleen, because he became a township trustee, there was threats between the other two board members, and I was invited to a luncheon on a Saturday in December where the gentlemen all threatened. They told me they were going to get lawyers, and they were going to sue, and their lawyers were going to sue their lawyers, and these lawyers were going to sue these lawyers. And I said, I had enough of this. And so I just removed the board and started all over again, as I'm permitted to do under revised code 154506. Let's talk about the tax collection issue, where the suspension thereof. Nobody took away the rights of any voters, okay? Because you see, the right to raise taxes is in chapter 5705 of the revised code, called the tax levy code. And 5705 has a checks and balance provision in that very code section. And that's in there because of chapter 12, article 12, section 5 of the Ohio Constitution. And what the Ohio Constitution and chapter 5705 state is that governmental bodies can't collect more taxes than they need for operations. That's in the law, folks. I didn't invent this. And by the way, that law, just so we say, that law predates me by about 30 years. At least my time of legislature. The Constitution and the statute says you cannot do that. You cannot hoard money. And in fact, chapter 5705.341 says you may levy taxes for the object of the tax. 5705.341, and you can read it for yourself. This is a direct quote from the statute. No tax rate shall be levied above that necessary to produce the revenue needed by the taxing district or political subdivision for the next year. You cannot levy any tax. It's in the statute, folks, even if approved by electors. So the statute says you cannot collect excess tax beyond need, even if it's voted on by the electors, unless such rate of taxation for the ensuing fiscal year is clearly required by a budget of the taxing district. So how does this work? And by the way, the Budget Commission under 5705.7 was created for this very check and balance purpose. What the Budget Commission's job is to make sure is that taxing entities do not collect taxes beyond that which is clearly required by their budget for the next year. Now let me tell you the game that goes on. Bodies come before the Budget Commission with excess money in their pockets. And on paper, they invent places to put their money. So they get past the Budget Commission. It's the Budget Commission shuffle. I got extra cash. I don't want you to know about my extra cash, so we're going to spend it to buy ice cubes from Paris. And ice cubes from Paris is $2 million, and they put it in their budget. And historically, every governmental entity around that has extra cash has played this game. And what happens is, the Budget Commission has to take them for their word. Okay, they got this money planned to be paid for, and they approve the budget, and the tax gets collected. Well, in 2011 in Wood County, the Jobs and Family Services tax levy was suspended because they had too much excess cash beyond what they needed for their budget. In 1978, in Geauga County, one we all know near and dear, the Budget Commission did not certify a voter approved adult tax levy for collection. Because you see, the right of the people to vote is subject to not having more money than you need for operations, and it's the Budget Commission's job to make sure excess taxes are collected. I didn't invent this, folks. I got this message the night before the Budget Commission meeting on August 10th from one of the Budget Commission members. He came to me and said, Judge, because you don't have your old director, I bet you don't know this, but last year at the 2013 Budget Commission meeting, the county treasurer, Christopher Hitchcock, raised concerns about the Park District's 200% excess cash balance. They had 200% what their operating budget said they needed to operate for a year. And he warned the then director, now past director, that you better be addressing this by next year. And even 100% operating excess balance would be excessive. Now, folks, I listened to this recording. I went and got the recording. You can get it through the public records request from the Budget Commission. It's audio recorded. You can hear Mr. Hitchcock tell Mr. Kirk, and Mr. Patterson, you got too much money, and you got to do something about it. Mr. Flays, our county prosecutor, said at this year's Budget Commission meeting that I went to on August 11th, that he felt they were misled last year by the Park District, and that indeed the Park District has excess cash on hand. Mr. Mucci here, who's one of the board members, said at the meeting last week that the Park Board currently has enough cash to operate for 2 years without collecting another dime of tax money. And remember what this code says. Cannot levy a tax, even if approved by the voters, if the rate is clearly not required by the budget. And it's not, when you have 200%, you got a problem. So what happens? So we go to the Budget Commission meeting. There's 3 levies right now for parks in Geauga County. There's a .70 mil levy that goes back to 30 years, 20-some years. That raises about $880,000. There's 2 other levies. They each raise over $2 million. The question was not, was a levy going to be suspended? The question was, which levy was going to be suspended? The $880,000 one or a $2.1 million one? But because the budget that was proposed by the park had, the one that was actually given on that day, had a $9,200,000 excess cash in the bank for the Park District on December 31st of 2015. That means after spending $7 million in 2015, remember that number, I'm going to come back to it. After spending $7 million to run our parks in 2015, at the end of the year, they were going to celebrate January 1st of 2016 with $9.2 million in the bank. Remember the excess cash concept, right? Remember Mr. Hitchcock from 2013 saying, don't come back and tell us this again. We went to that meeting and the Budget Commission was up in arms. You have too much money. You need to do something about it. Well, one of your, and by the way, with the tax levy has now been suspended for next year. Without that tax levy, and we kept that tax levy in place, we would have collected $6.3 million in taxes for the park. Without that tax levy, we're still going to collect $5.4 million. So it's not like the taxpayers aren't going to pay a lot of money for parks next year. They're going to pay $5.4 million. And by the way, it's not like they're going to have no money left over. Had we left that levy in place, they would have had $9.2 million in excess cash minimum. By suspending the $880,000 tax levy for 1 year, next year, December 31st, 2015, the Park District will have $8.2 million of excess cash still in the bank. So it's not like they're going to be paupers, folks. They still have a lot of money on hand. Why do you have this process of the Budget Commission? Well, because voter-approved levies are subject to some variables. First of all, there could be misrepresentations during the campaign. There could be miscalculations that are unintentional during the campaign. There could be changes in circumstances. For example, the Park District, after being chastised last year by the Budget Commission, came up with a proposed budget that was going to burn off $1.9 million this year for such things as an 11% pay raise for some employees and a $700,000 increase in operating expenses. But the new park board, of which Mr. Mucci had a major part, was far more responsible in how they dealt with the spending. And they eliminated the 11% pay raises. They eliminated the new cars for park employees. And by the way, I love the park employees that are here, but I don't get a new car to drive to work in the morning from the taxpayers of the county. But there's a budget to give them new cars. So and they can use them for personal use. No limits on personal use. I don't know about you. I don't ask you to pay for my car, but I sure as heck want to pay for a car for another government employee in this county. But that was in that budget that Mr. Mucci was able to put a hole to, and I'm sure he can explain a little bit here in a couple minutes. So the Budget Commission is the statutory balance. You folks are Tea Party people who are here. You understand what Thomas Jefferson said. We are a republic. We are not a mob democracy. We are not an anarchy. A republic is a place where certain people are in authority to make sure that law and order is maintained. And the Budget Commission's sole function is to make sure that people aren't overtaxed when it's not necessary and paid for the purpose of the tax or the operational costs. That's what proper government's about. Nobody violated any laws. Nobody violated the rights of the voters. The voter right, remember what I read to you, in the statute, 5705 3.1, is subject to this very Budget Commission process. And frankly, it worked And I don't know about you, but when the Park Commission still has $8.2 million next Christmas, and it's Christmas 2015, that's worth it. I'm going to be glad that the taxpayers kept $80,000 in their pockets to pay for their children and their expenses and their bills. And by the way, if you're a senior, the senior levy's up this year. You know, there's some room for that senior levy if you're not hoarding cash for another purpose. And what were the letters say? I love the letters. There were letters that said that we were cutting programs, and we're gutting the parks, and the parks are going to fall down. Delusion, misrepresentation, and lies. Not one naturalist program got cut, correct, Mr. Ritchie?
That's correct, they actually got expanded.
More naturalist programs have been added. We have brought some recreation to the parks, which I'll talk about in a minute. There was no land acquisition that was turned down or had been approved by a prior board that these guys canceled. I read that letter. Somehow the board canceled all the plans of the prior board. Absolutely not true. The only plan they canceled was the burning off of $1.9 million of tax dollars to play the Budget Commission shuffle. That was the only thing they touched. And they did it right, and they kept every program, every person who they needed for function, and they added programs to the Park District, and all those letters to the contrary are just flat out wrong. And there's been no loss of park services. I'm going to put the spending in perspective for a second. I said it before, the Park District is scheduled to spend over $7 million in 2015. The Department of Aging, which serves all of our seniors, a growing number of seniors in our county, is going to spend $3 million for it. The Jobs and Family Services, for services for needy children in our county, is going to spend $3 million next year. The prosecutor's office, which is going to keep us safe and make sure guys are behind bars, is going to spend $1.5 million next year. And the Geauga County Probate and Juvenile Court, which is 2 different courts, a probation department, and 2 clerk's offices, is going to spend $2.2 million next year. What does that tell you? We spend twice as much on trees and raccoons than we do our seniors, our children, law enforcement, and probate and juvenile services for all of our counties. I'm not against the parks. I'm not against spending for the parks. We have a wonderful park district. We have invested over $100 million in Geauga County in our parks. And when it's needed, we should give it to them. When it's spent wisely, they should spend it. When there's land that properly should be acquired, they should acquire it. But they shouldn't be allowed to hoard money just for the heck of it. Because the Constitution doesn't permit it, the law doesn't permit it, and quite frankly, that money can be better spent. I guarantee you, the seniors would like to see some more money for the senior programs. I guarantee you, Jobs and Family Services, which is overrun because of the drug problem, would love to have some more assets so that they can help us take care of the children. I guarantee you, Mr. Flays and I, who together spend half of what it's going to cost to run the parks next year, would love to have a few extra dollars to help fight the crimes, the drug epidemic that's causing crime in our counties. But that's what happened. And last but not least, let us talk about that famous list. The list of uses to be permitted in the park. The one that was so, frankly, beautifully politically corrupted by those running for office, by those who don't like Tim Grendell, by those who want to continue their 20-year control of the parks at the expense of all the rest of us. They exploited this little thing, and you need to know the true facts. Several months ago, Montville Township introduced a passive zoning resolution. It was a resolution that rezoned just 2 properties in Montville Township. Interestingly enough, both of those properties were owned by the Geauga County Park District. One of them is Observatory Park. We got millions of dollars invested in telescopes in Observatory Park. A wonderful park, and with a lot of promise. But Montville decided that they wanted to tell Geauga County's residents, the 43,000 who pay taxes, how and when you could use your county taxpayers paid for parks in Montville Township. I thought that was crazy. The board thought that was crazy. We didn't think it was even doable legally. Oddly enough, there's a bit of a twist. For this board to maintain its superior position over the zoning folks in Montville Township, they have to have uses that they could then say were primary and superior to the zoning of the township. And the case on this is actually out of Geauga County. It's a case involving the Geauga County Park District and the bike trail and the zoning of the city of Chardon. And the Supreme Court, or Court of Appeals, and the Attorney General's office have addressed this. And the problem is, it seems like you have to have more specific purpose in your county park bylaws to be able to combat local zoning control. So the board went and talked to their lawyers. They were legally advised you got to establish some uses to maintain control, and they came up with a list of approved uses. Unfortunately, that list got a little broad. And then suddenly there was oil and gas drilling, logging, and ATVs. And the letters started flying. And here comes the delusions, the lies, and the misrepresentation. They're going to clear cut the parks. They're going to put oil wells in all the parks. ATVs are going to run over the horse people when they're riding their horses in the park. And all of that was untrue. What happened was, there was a concern that the park district has already bought properties that have oil wells on them. And if you didn't have oil wells listed, and the local zoning got you in the way, then you'd have to remove the wells and spend the money to remove and cat those wells. Should it have said only pre-existing wells in the parks? Absolutely. And unfortunately, because it didn't, some people had a field day. And some newspapers let them get away with it and misrepresent reality because it didn't quite stop logging. Was anybody going to clear cut a Geauga County park? Not while I'm breathing. But here's the point. What if the ash board comes and you got to blow out trees in the park to preserve the rest of the trees because of the ash board? What if there's a fire and you have to do some cutting to protect away from the fire damage? Well, the park district wanted to be able to log for park management purposes. Should that language have said that? Absolutely. ATVs. Nobody's going to put ATVs in Westwoods where the horse people ride. That would be insane. They're good people. They should have their horse areas. We're going to protect their horse areas. They put a lot of time and money in those horse areas. They need to be protected. But is there some place, an observatory park, which is 1,000 acres, or someplace else on the east end of the county where you can't put some ATV people to have some fun, mobile people to have some fun? Absolutely. And the ATVs were in there because somebody thought you have to list ATVs for emergency purposes. That if you needed to get an ATV in here if somebody broke their leg, it would be prohibited by Montville Township zoning that allowed only passive use. The Montville Township zoning ordinance is still alive and kicking out there. It's not been passed. That ordinance would make the observatory that the taxpayers of this county have spent a bundle on a legally non-conforming use under the Montville Township zoning code. That's not right, folks. And that's what was going to happen. Unfortunately, the language was a little broad. Folks jumped all over it. I love it. There was a letter from a gentleman, I think Mr. Webb. His letter went something like this. Grendell's got a plan to stop charging taxes for the parks, and we're going to put oil and gas wells and finance the operation of the park solely off oil and gas wells. I don't know what he likes to drink, but I love a case myself. First of all, I'm not that smart. I don't have that time. And if any of you know me and have read anything, you know I was against oil and gas drilling. I've been against oil and gas drilling. I've been against oil and gas drilling in the state parks. I was one of the few Republicans who was against that, to my peril. I don't want oil and gas drilling in the Geauga County parks. I'm anti-fracking, and probably some of you disagree with me on this, but I've never been shy about my position about that. So, it's just the language got a little loose. The political exploiters very cleverly did their number and did what they were going to do, and it was kind of, unfortunate. It's been fixed. The Park Board has addressed the issue with some language, what the lawyers tell me will be strong enough to beat back the passive zoning, and yet won't be exploited by everybody who thinks we're going to stop charging taxes for parks and do it by selling trees and oil. It's just never going to happen. By the way, when I talk about passive zoning, we're standing in a park that is passively zoned by Russell Township. 4 townships have already passed passive zoning for parkland in this county, and the past board and director didn't even know it, or if they knew it, they did nothing about it. And that was just flat out wrong. And the park board's going to have to deal with it, and it's going to cost money to get lawyers to deal with it, because you cannot let a local township tell a park district of a county, financed on the backs of the taxpayers of that county, what they can do with their county taxpayer land. That's just not right, and it's going to have to be corrected in those townships that have already passed that kind of passive zoning. And somebody should have been awake, and if somebody allowed this to happen deliberately, somebody should have been fired. Now, last but not least, I gotta touch this, the petitions. If one of you remember the fair, if you were in a Democrat tent, they had the petitions on the table. If you're walking up the street in Burton, you were probably accosted by somebody who wanted you to sign a petition. And what the petition was ostensibly to tell the park district, we don't want logging, we don't want oil and gas, we don't want ATVs, and we want to go back to no recreational amenities in the parks. We don't want playgrounds for children. We don't want a volleyball court. We don't want horseshoe pits. And they had this petition. By the way, while I'm talking about that issue, I got to tell you, it's a marvelous thing. I get letters. I really thought that when you have 10,000 acres in the park, and only 3% of our park land is used for recreation, trails, parking lots, and roads. 3%. 97% of that 10,000 acres of parkland, approximately 10,000 acres, is preserved and conserved, and not developed with anything made by man. So this idea that we don't have preserved and conservation areas in our park is preposterous and, again, delusional, not a fact. There's space for limited recreation in our parks. For example, I suggested maybe you put a playground next to the pavilion between the bathroom and the barbecue pit, so that when I'm here with my grandchildren doing this, and my wife is over there setting the table, my grandkids aren't playing in the parking lot. They're playing in the playground. This is over here. I got fricassee for that, folks. I'm a communist. I'm an anti-environmental socialist, because I think there should be a playground right here. That's absurd, folks. So what happens is we put a playground in Orchard Hills. It's a lovely playground, apples and everything. Mr. Patterson should be happy. It's his theme. Okay? We put it there. Kids are climbing all over the thing. What the heck cooking? And mom's doing her thing. And the kids aren't playing in the parking lot. They get lost in the woods. And what happens is I start getting the complaints. The people that Mr. Corson call malcontents, I'll leave that as his phrase, not mine, but I can't tell you I'd argue with his use of the word. I'll call them complainants, get a little legal knowledge. The complainants do not want children in the parks. Why do I know this? The first time I suggested playgrounds in the parks, I get a letter from an older woman who said, Judge Grendell, I understand you want to put playgrounds in the parks. I said, yes. She goes, we don't want them. I said, why not? She said, people will bring their children to the park. That's crazy. I got dozens of those phone calls and letters. I got the letter from the person who told me, we don't want, I go to the park for solitude. I don't want to be disturbed by the laughing and playing of children in the park when I go for my walk. Oh, help me, please. Okay? I mean, really? I mean, you know, we spent $100 million so a handful of elitists could have their own private, place. There's a letter in the paper. I forgot which one of the papers wrote it and published this goofy letter. Somebody who was a social worker or something said, I got an autistic child. And that autistic child needs to walk in the woods where it's quiet. We got 10,000 acres. I'll set aside some spot. I'll ask him to set aside some spot where autistic children can walk there. There won't be any noise. What does that have to do with a playground right here for kids to play? So that people can picnic and have their families together on a good old-fashioned Sunday afternoon picnic. It's preposterous. And my favorite one. They've been to Froring Meadows. There's a soccer goal out there. Tip Grendell didn't ask to put a soccer goal in Froring Meadows. I think soccer's a communist sport, to be honest with you. I would ban soccer. I wouldn't blow a soccer goal out. But I would ban soccer, okay? That's European football. But I get blamed for that thing. And how do I get blamed? I get a letter. The soccer goal will disperse the Virginia rail. Anybody want to guess what the Virginia rail is? Bird. All right? It's going to disperse the Virginia rail from flying to our park. I thought to myself, this is written to me by a gentleman who drives a big car, lots of shiny metal, into the park to go for a walk. And the Virginia rail is so discerning that the reflection from the metal of the car does not disturb it. But the reflection from a much smaller soccer goal that has a white netting on it will disturb that bird. That is one great disturbing bird if they can tell the difference between cars and soccer. Cross-country skiing. We don't have a cross-country skiing chalet in Geauga County. Chapin Woods and Lake County does. You can rent cross-country skis and ski. Golf course. Here's communism. You can't have a golf course in the Geauga County Park District, even though there's 8 of them in the Cuyahoga County Park District, 2 of them in the Lake County Park District. You can't have snowmobiling, even though they allow snowmobiling in Yellowstone, and if you're an environmentalist, there's nothing greater on your list than Yellowstone. But yes, they have to be four-cycle engines, so they don't make a lot of noise. They have to be during the daytime, and you have to get a permit, so we make sure you know what you're doing. Can be done. How about the controlled hunting? I love this one. There is shooting on that magic list, because since 2006, the Geauga County Park District has allowed controlled hunting. I became judge in 2011. How come for 5 years Judge Henry wasn't getting the angry letters from the environmentalists saying, you're going to allow shooting in the parks, people are going to be getting carried off in baskets in the parks. This park district has allowed controlled hunting since 2006 without any injury or incident. Nobody was going to bring the Western Corral out here and start shooting hikers walking through the parks, folks. And the letters that said that were delusional, misrepresentative, frauding, and outright lies, folks. All of them. And we have enough parkland for everybody. You know, you can have horse places that only horse people go. You can have a cross-country ski place that only cross-country ski people go. You can have places for people to have solitude. You can have people for people who have kids. You can have people who want to play horseshoes, and you can have people who don't want to play anything when you got 10,000 acres. But there's a small group of mountain guys, of course, who for years had it their way and only their way, had a board and a director who did only what they wanted. And they can't stand the fact that times are changing. Newspapers are allowing them to write anything because it's under the guise of the First Amendment. So be it. But it's not. And it's just a disservice to the people of this county. And if you want to see something really interesting, well, let me go back to the petitions and then I'll finish with the letter. Remember those nasty little petitions, 250,000, 2,500 signatures. Well, 930 of those signatures, 932 of those signatures are not from Geauga County. And I tell you, I know it as a fact because I counted each and every one. I have a set of the petitions. If you want me to verify it to you, I will do it under oath. 932 people. They came from New York. I don't know about you, but I don't like what New York is doing in New York, let alone tell me what to do in Geauga County. They came from Pennsylvania. They came from President Obama's state, Illinois. The majority came from Cuyahoga County and Lake County. Is anybody here who's surprised that people in Cuyahoga County want to tell us in Geauga County what to put our parks on? I'm not surprised by that. Of course, how much tax money have those people paid for Geauga County parks? A big flat zero. But they want to tell us how they use our parks. We have firsthand reports from people who were walking to the fair, who were confronted by some of these signature solicitors, who flat out lied to them. Showed them a picture of a clear-cut forest and said, this is happening in Geauga County parks today. Not true. Told them that Geauga County was going to bring invasive species to the parks. Not true. I'm not even sure what invasive species in the park is, except maybe judges coming out to talk at night. To those people, I guarantee you, tonight I'm an invasive species. I guarantee you that. They had all sorts of misrepresentations that they made to get people to sign those signatures because they have an agenda that wasn't dealing with the truth. But I left you something on this page, and if you haven't followed my outline and you want to know all these sites and you want to see the facts and the statutes that underlie everything I said tonight, it's right here in this outline. But the last page of the outline really tells you where you stand on this issue. The front is a letter from a lady from South Utah. I am against any serious changes to the natural scape of the Geauga County Park. Thank you, ma'am, for your tax dollars and your opinion. They are beautiful in and of themselves. Absolutely. Do not need fracking sites. Absolutely. ATV trails. Most of them. Absolutely. Maybe someplace, there's one place we can do it. Or any other unnatural effects, i.e. playgrounds. Absolutely not. There is plenty of recreation in them for citizens to enjoy without altering them. Thank you, ma'am, for your opinion. There are many altered places for people to go without developing these parks into a natural setting. Like the parks in South Utah, where I grew up, by the way. I guess I should go there if I want to take my grandchildren to a playground. I do not live in Geauga, but go there to these parks a great deal. Well, that's fantastic. We're glad that you're a neighbor, but how much did you pay for that privilege? Oh, she had a horse here at one point, but I don't think she does anymore if you read the letter. She makes a personal attack on John Kasich, and then sort of ends up by basically saying that there's some sort of mismanagement. And this is the group who have spread the delusions representation, so mine. But they're also entitled to their opinion. And if this is what you believe, join the chorus and write another letter to the Park District. This is your mouth. So let me read to you the other letter, the backside. From two people, Charles and Sharon Osborne, who live in Middlefield, Ohio. For those from the media, for those of you who are going to write ugly letters about me, Middlefield is located in Geauga County, Southeastern is located in Geauga County. Let's at least get those facts straight. But here we go. Greetings, Your Honor. I am taking this opportunity to commend and thank you for the professional and equitable manner in which you have discharged your duty in appointing members to the Geauga County Park District Board, who as a body truly represent all the citizens of the county. For far too long, previous boards were dominated by members representing an activist minority, espousing only one elitist preservation position, and suggesting that this should be the sole mission of the board. But activism by a minority was not shape policy different from the will of a majority. That majority, and I also support passive natural type activity, but not to the exclusion of recreation. With many thousands of acres under board control, there are plenty of lands available for both types of activity to occur concurrently and separately without conflict. Your wise and fair appointments have assured that Geauga County now has a park board which will guide the district in directions which will serve the interests of all Geauga County residents. If you believe this, you need to write letters to the editor so people in this county understand that there are fair-minded, fact-finding, truth-seeking people who understand the truth here to dispel the delusions, the misrepresentations, and the lies.
And if I may add, Judge, come to our next board meeting on October 14th, right here at the Westwood, 7:30.
Be here and let them know there's other people in this county. When all is said and done, the Geauga Park District will continue to operate in a manner that preserves and conserves the county's valuable natural resources while providing appropriate recreational opportunities with sufficient funds to accomplish all of these purposes for all Geauga County residents and not just for select elite few. Folks, that's my philosophy of the park, right there. If you go under the code,
Sounds to me, Judge, that even after all of the spending that's over next year, the park district is still gonna have a slush fund of about $8 million. Is there any way that you can get it out of there?
well,
Give it to the department that really need it?
you cannot recycle the money. All they can do is to find ways, budget for it in the budget if it's needed, or continue to seek a suspension of collection of some of the taxes and burn that up. Remember I told you you're going to collect, without doing the $880,000 tax that you guys are not going to pay next year. The tax revenues will come in around 5,152. Your spending is going to be about 7, so you're going to burn off 1.8 from that money, roughly. But what will happen is over a couple of years, you'll be able to suspend the tax levy and burn off your excess until you can come back in equilibrium.
It's gotta be burned off.
Right. Now, there also requires some land, and I mean, there are some people who believe we have too much land in the park district, and some who think we don't have enough. And my philosophy is simply this: if the right land becomes available at the right price, then the county needs to acquire the land because you only get that opportunity once. But to just go burn the money off for land that doesn't serve a specific purpose, in my opinion, would be imprudent and wrong.
Related to that question, is it possible to remind the rest
Oddly enough, that's a completely question. Oddly enough, yeah, there seems to be some case law that gives authority to the planning commission to modify, but it seems to apply to only inside buildings. The village question that you put on does not seem to have that language about the electric. The electric language seems to only be suspension, but I got a feeling they probably could do some sort of modification. So you know, in 2019, one of those levies comes up. One of those 1 mil levies is ending in 2019. That's about a $2 million drop in revenue. That's an issue that Mr. Mucci and the park board over the next couple of years is going to have to address, how they see that situation. The $880,000 levy that's been suspended runs to like the year 2000 and I think 24, 26. It runs for a long time yet. So if they kick that one back in, it'll cover some of the loss cost of the 19 levy, and they'll have to adjust and figure out what they're gonna do for revenues to come for 2019.
Okay, can I jump in for a second, Judge? Just to kind of clarify a little bit there. The reason why the Budget Commission can address the inside millage is because that's millage that townships and municipalities can levy without a public vote, okay? The park board's levies are all outside that 10 mil inside millage amount, so that all has to be voted on by the public. The second thing is you can't take your budget to zero at the end of the year. And the reason is that we don't get the first tax collection until generally March sometime. So we have to have enough of a carryover balance to account for that. But if you do it right, it all kind of, once you get the cycle going, it all kind of flows through.
And just put that, the carryover for the park district, according to the park district witness at the Budget Commission, is $1.4 million to operate for the first 3 months of the year. That's still not $8 million.
Right. There's still plenty of available funds for purchases and whatever else we may need.
Like generator?
Yeah. And a toilet system that works.
I'm actually pretty surprised they don't have that.
Judge, you mentioned 10,000 acres currently in our park district. How many acres are in the county, and how does our acreage compare to other counties in the state of Ohio?
I don't know how many acres in the county. My point of reference is Lake County has 2.5 times the population of Geauga County and has about 12 to 1,500 less acres of parks than we do. And that includes their 2 golf courses. We have no golf courses. So by population to park acreage standards, we're up there as a county. And that's a good thing. I'm not adverse to that. That's a good thing. And I'm not adverse, like I said, with the right properties under the right circumstances to acquire. There are some properties in this county. For example, if you ever drive down Mayfield Road, go down that hill in that old wetlands area and all that over there, that's the habitat for natural brook trout. There's no way you or I are ever going to walk on that property. And nor should we, because we shouldn't be disturbing the unique nature of that property for the preservation values that it has. There's a substantial amount of acres in this county owned by the park district that is not open to the public. So there's a I don't know how many that is, you know?
Yeah, I don't know how many that is, but in addition to the park district, you've got City of Akron owns in Burton Township, Troy Township, and Clarendon, roughly 1/3 of all the land there. You have Nature Conservancy, Natural History Museum, they all own significant chunks of property here as well.
I think 3 to 5% of Geauga County is in preserved, conserved green space. We have the park district, the Akron watershed, and other park land. I think it was something like 3 to 5, but I don't know what the total acreage is.
Is it true that all those lands that Akron are off the 10th Street?
Yes, well, it's so the county parks. I mean, public land is not taxed, so that 3 to 5% is off the
As
tax.
former Burton Township trustee, I can absolutely verify that Akron-owned land, with very few exceptions, is off the tax.
Anybody else?
Judge, I got a question. I'm just wondering about some of those that are actual malcontents that are complaining. What would be the possibility of some of us getting the forms to file probate proceedings against them?
I'd have to disqualify myself. I would feel that I couldn't in good conscience say that I would be unbiased from it. Look, I don't want First Amendment. You got all the rights in the world. I just wish it wouldn't mislead the rest of the people in the county. And the problem is, and the newspapers know better. I'm not going to say which papers, but we have sent some of this information to some of the newspapers. But they go around, and in their articles, they're wrong. There is one newspaper writer, I won't call him a reporter, because reporters have journalistic integrity, in Tim Grendell's opinion, he does not. But that person would just about write anything any of these malcontents tell him as if it was the truth, even when he knows it's not, and hide behind the case with the New York Times where I'm a public figure, so you can say anything you want about me. There's not a whole lot I can do about it because the Supreme Court says tough luck. That's what happens when you get into government. That's fine, I got it. But it's not me I'm worried about. It's the people out there who read that inaccurate information are getting misled.
One of your supporters could make file these forms?
It's up to you, I won't speak.
Well, and then one other thing to keep in mind, you know, the First Amendment's a wonderful thing. And it gives everybody the ability to string hearsay, innuendo, and conspiracy theories to whatever, you know, fantasy they want to spin. However, it does not require that anybody has to listen. So I would encourage you to let people know that just because somebody is blabbering at the mouth doesn't necessarily mean it's worth listening and paying attention to.
Except for the judge.
Yeah.
I just don't know if we have any numbers that include the number of people or the size of people in Delaware County who actually use the park.
I wish we had, Mr. Earl. I believe that they have some statistics, but there's gonna be a survey coming out. You're gonna get your chance on it. A little later this year, or beginning of next year, the park district is gonna send out a survey asking for the people's views, what our park should do, what services we should have, do we need more recreation, do we need less recreation? You're gonna get your chance to weigh in. I hope you will fill out that survey and send it back to the park district. You're gonna have to ask the folks in the park district. They have those numbers, I just don't have them.
We track the number of visitors that come to programs, okay, where there's someone who's conducting an event, but we, at this point, do not track who just shows up and walks the trails or uses the pavilions or things along those lines.
There is one funny anecdote though. When this group of course, now got together for the first time in throwing medals to complain about the soccer goal. There was a father and his two daughters practicing soccer at the soccer goal. I don't think they felt that it was wrong for them to be able to practice soccer there. And, you know, I mean, this is a big county, folks, 10,000 acres, there's room for everybody. That's not maybe there.
I appreciate a lot of your comments. Some of the things I do disagree with only because I was here since 1976 as an employee. And I'm going to speak mostly about, I'm Sherry Bosworth. And I serve for all of the directors, back to Judge Ford, Judge Moore. This park that you're sitting in, the park district did not have the money when it came time to purchase this. This was going to be taken over by a developer. But ASM employees and ASM themselves said, we would rather it be a park. What can you do? And that's when Bill Ginn stepped up, gave the money to the park district, and then we had to go into an arrangement to pay him back based on then passing the levy. So the reason the park district, and I don't like the word hoarding, I hate that word, the reason the park district prepares themselves for that money ahead of time is because if land came up. Burton Wetlands, the same thing. We did not have the money at the time. The Nature Conservancy held that until the park district could raise the money to purchase it on. So the reason money is set aside is for land acquisition. To pave 1 mile of road, I believe the figure is $1 million. So those things have to be prepared for. When you compare budgets with the probate court, Department of Aging, are you comparing a staff of 60? Are you comparing that the Geauga Park District is encompassing a park? Is the previous board's vision was to have a park district within 10 minutes of every resident of the county. So your money that you were paying would be there and you would have access for it. The original park board, the original League of Women Voters, they wanted the land to be preservation. That's mostly what it was all about. That's why if something comes up that you don't know, there's an estate, maybe someone passes away, they want their land to go to the park district, but of course they want it to be paid for. They don't want to, people can't just give away their land anymore.
If I could add a few things. Yeah. This park was burned first, this is part by my wife who was in the State House and got money from the state legislature to help purchase this park. So let us not skew the story in one way again. Let's get the true facts on the table and not half the facts. Second, the park district has $3 million set aside for property acquisition for 2015. This isn't Tim Grendell's numbers. This is the excerpt from the budgetary worksheet prepared by Michelle Pennell, representing the Geauga County Park District. And the statute, despite all intentions, does not allow the hoarding of funds for park acquisition land. It's not in the statute. If they want to fix the statute, talk to Mr. Eklund or Mr. Lynch. It's not in the statute. I got the extra money to buy Orchard Hills from the Patterson when I was in the state senate. So you kind of need to leave things in total perspective.
And some of our members in the Ohio Horsemen's Council went from door to door and raised funds to help pay for this park.
I agree with you. The Horseman Council have been major players in the acquisition and the maintenance of this park. That's absolutely true.
Well, and one thing, I do want to add, we are very, very blessed here in Geauga County to the public-private partnership that goes on with the Park District, the Geauga Park District Foundation, groups like the Ohio Horsemen's Council, and just other individuals who have donated money and or land to the district. So that's something that makes us the envy of a lot of the different park districts around the state of Ohio. And that's not something that we want to tamper with or endanger at all. I mean, Sherry is correct, and both Judge Grendell is correct. There's a balance there between having enough funds to be able to take advantage of an opportunity when it does come available, but you also have to balance how much is that relative to your total budget and what you expect any potential future purchase might be. And I would argue that we clearly have too much in that pile waiting in reserve. We can afford to give some of that money back to the taxpayers by not collecting it, and we still have the ability to make purchases, if and when they do become available. So we are actually in a sweet spot. Let's not beat ourselves up for being in the position we're in. We can save money for the taxpayers, and we can still have money available for strategic purchases when we need them.
And anybody who feels they were slighted by not having to pay that extra $880,000 in taxes next year can donate that money to the Park District, and the Park District will gladly collect that from you. Thank you all very much for the time.